Welcome my friends, this is Uí Néill Incorporated, continuing on with my playthrough where I look to restore the glory of Ulster. At the moment we're just waiting for some hooks. We're waiting to get hooks on people and then demand money for them. Our spy master is in the court in Scotland, so I've just kind of zoomed out just to give you a glimpse of what's going on in the rest of the world. France has kind of split up. Our enemies in Iceland are in a bit of a civil war at the moment. England, something mad has happened in England. They're involved in the Icelandic Civil War, the north of England. Well, it's actually pushed into the Hybrid as well, I didn't spot that, but this little baba, he's not a baba, he's 7. He is the new king because his father was almost decapitated. Almost. So he's fine. He'll probably recover. It's grand. Don't worry about it. So England, under the Godwinsons, becoming quite powerful. And I imagine we're not going to see this man for too much longer. He's 58. So who knows, and he's quite stressed as well. So we're going down the one of the wealth focuses at the moment. And like I said, we're basically just waiting for some hooks on people to fire and for our spy master to find juicy secrets in Scotland. So as well as having our spy master in Scotland, we're actually trying to get a hook on the king himself, and it looks like it's going to pay off. King Malcolm is a complicated man. I need to understand him as well as possible if I am to convince people to take my side in any upcoming arguments. So we have a 93% chance to succeed in gaining some progress, or gaining extra strength in forming a hook against him. So nothing happens immediately. And our scheme has paid off. Here is the king in his pajamas and his cloak and his crown. This is how he goes to bed. And we're going to send in a big troop of jugglers right into his chambers. So we'll get a weak hook. We'll spend 150 prestige. We are being ate for prestige, but I imagine that we're becoming a bit of an annoyance to people. All around Scotland and Ireland, we're fabricating these hooks. We haven't been caught. But then, of course, we're coming, not begging for money, but insinuating, you know, you give me some money and we'll forget about that hook that you owe me. I imagine people are getting sick of us, so I imagine our prestige is indeed going into the dumps. We're basically extorting people and trying to kidnap babies. That didn't work out very well. To get the coffers filled up. So we're going to send in the entertainers. We have gained a weak hook on him. He's put his clothes back on. And we should be able to go to up here. Demand payment. We could negotiate an alliance. Do you know what? The old payment, 50 quid. That means a lot more to me. I think we've also we've learnt a secret on the only successful baby that we ever managed to capture, if I'm right. There's Asta, who we didn't capture. There's her younger sister, who we did capture. So we found out her father has taken a lover. Big, scaly fornicator. So that's useful to know. We will immediately blackmail him. Looks like, ooh, he might accept. And he's refused. He's refused. We can expose his secret, or we become unable to expose it. I think, well, look, we already took his child. Yeah, look, whatever. We'll let you off this time. You and your big scaly lover. We have been given an opportunity to create a hook on the ruler of Gwynedd. It's an act of tyranny. We're just going to fabricate one. We will lose opinion with our subjects. Oh no, we don't have any subjects. We have a couple of theocratic subjects, but I don't think that makes much of a difference. But I'm going to get the building influence and we will restart from 0. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move my spy master. I think we're actually going to go to the court of the new Baba King. I think he's in a bit of trouble. Something's going on down here. So we'll go to Dorset. And, there's a tiny bit of a tyranny war. Let's see him sitting on his little throne. His legs don't even touch the ground. And what does he have in the court? He has Excalibur, the Cortana, and another Excalibur. Wars are paid for by selling Excaliburs, and you must hope your guests don't catch another displaying the sword. So you can just display the two of them. And the head of Saint Edmund. The legendary sword was once wielded by Tristan against Morholt. And Morholt is an Irish knight, Moria, that appears in some of the later chivalric tales. Tristan has a number of associations with Ireland as well, so this is apparently the sword that Tristan used to kill this Irish knight of the Round Table. We might steal that sometime. Here we have a local sculptor who is looking to create something for us. It's going to cost 37 gold, and we have nowhere to show it off. It's going to be a while, I think, before we have a royal court. The only other problem is we're going to take 20 stress because we're zealous. And zealous means we love statues. Oh, it's probably going to be a religious statue. And if we look at our stress at the moment, we're just short of going up to the next level. I can't remember how long it was since we had that last mental break. I'm going to take the stress. We can always drop it if we need to. And it could be beneficial to us once we get the next wealth focus that we're focusing on. Here is our lover, our former secondary wife. Martha requires so much attention and care, which is difficult at a time like this. So she loses 15 opinion. So we divorced her. There was a kind of a clear out of our wives there a while back. At the end of the last episode, I sent out the call for knights. They have answered, but damn them all, are they expensive. Mo Lua is going to cost 70. Rectbra is going to cost 75. And Ulium, we'll call him Liam, is going to cost 80. So just short of a claim on a county. I think we'll recruit him. He's a member of the Macmurachas, or a new branch, I suppose, of the Macmurachas. So we'll recruit him, and we'll come to our council. So here is Cahill. It's taken him 8 years to restore order in Alloch, and we will replace him with our new champion, knight. Well, he's knocked it down by a year, so it speeds it up a bit anyway. So since we succeeded in that hook against the King of Scotland, we've moved up to the north of Scotland to get, or to try and get a hook on the Duchess of Moray. So again, studied personality, 100% chance of success. So we've gained some information. Let's see if we can get some money. I think it's fair to say that we smell our court jester, Donal, before we hear him or see him. He has written a poem for us. Ahem, my passionate love, toot toot, he farts, that scrumptious woman who charms me so, to which my fealty I eternally owe. Toot toot toot. Although perhaps she'll break my heart yet, but to fail to try would be a bigger regret. And then one long final toot. I think that is a poem that James Joyce would have thoroughly enjoyed. We could lose 6 stress and begin to practice the great and ancient arts of flatulentism. I think we'll just tell him his skills are amazing. They truly are, Donal, they truly are. Gwynedd is posing a lot of problems for us. We have another chance to gain a weak hook on the ruler, but the problem is we are going to get interfering with servants for 5 years, which will give us -10 to courtier and guest opinion. So I think we're going to go back to 0 and let it build up again. Make a third and final attempt. We haven't had any success. Our spymaster hasn't had any success in England yet either. But at least now with 3 counties under our control, we are building up the wallet a bit faster. We see. Look who it is. Look who it is. Now we get that extra level of, or that perk that we were looking for. So this will give us an extra 10% per month from each level of stress. So I was thinking of switching maybe to a different one of these branches, maybe back to intrigue or to learning. I don't think there's much of a point at this stage. So what I'm going to go for next is cutting cornerstones. That'll at least decrease the cost of buildings. So if we can get some money together, it will get cheaper buildings for us. We'll stay on wealth focus. We'll get that 10% income. We do need the money. And our daughter's educator, Prince Gregory of Hungary, has died from smallpox. Ooh, that can't be great. So for the last year or 2 of her education, we might as well bring her home and put her under the command of Temnon with his 24 stewardship. Now, unfortunately, she has gone down, or I think she was maybe always down the pensive route, but hopefully she will develop some way good stewardship figures. We could do with a good steward. We're mad for these old compromising situations. We love them. We have created a compromising situation for the Duchess in the north of Scotland. We will send in the entertainers. We will gain a strong hook. And again, we lose 150 prestige. We will immediately demand payment. We're happy out. We're as bad as the Vikings at this stage. So the middle of Scotland has been good to us. The north of Scotland has been good to us. Let's go to the south of Scotland. Here is an avaricious ruler. He does have some gold. So let's see if we can create a compromising scenario for him. So with the way we are using prestige to gain hooks and put people in compromising scenarios and try and bolster the coffers some bit, we're definitely not going to be in a position to put Tanistry elective on the province. So I have made our son, who is going to inherit, I have made him our seneschal. He's going to increase control growth, so I could have put this on a bit earlier, or should have put somebody in this position a bit earlier to increase control, but it's also going to give him, I think it's going to give him a bit of money, and it's going to give him a bit of prestige. So when we die, he already has higher prestige than us actually at the moment. So people look at him with a lot more respect than they look at his father at the moment, because his father is being a divil. And speaking of being a divil, like I said, we love those compromising situations. Here's another man who goes to bed in his cloak. And yeah, we might as well. It's going to cost us another 150. We get a weak hook. And we can immediately demand payment. And we're up to 183. We're not doing too bad. I could start making claims on various different places in the country. Alright, okay. I could start making claims on various places in the country, especially now that Leinster has actually split apart. Well, I should say Leinster has split apart. So we will indeed begin to continue our march south. I was going to go for Athlone. Seems as though it's actually split up. But what we might do is Breffni, because Connacht is actually fairly weak at the moment. It'll be 16 months to fabricate a claim on Breffni or Dublin, but they have 1,000 troops and 700 allies. We could still outmatch them with our allies. And then Athlone would take 3 years because we don't actually have a border with it. It's so far away. It is so far away. So we're gonna take Breffni, get a claim on Breffni, march across, and then we could think about thinking about things. Our daughter Caintigern has come of age. Her tutor in Scotland died about 2 years ago, so she was educated by Temnon. And she's become Midas touched. So a 4-star money general. 40% lifestyle experience, that'd be fantastic. If I had a character, I don't think I've ever actually played as a character with plus 40% monthly lifestyle experience in anything. So they grow up so fast. Now we'll see if there's any good alliances, but this is definitely at 15 stewardship. This is somebody who we might want to keep in the court. So I'll see if there's a very good alliance, and if not, we'll hold off and see maybe about marrying her off to a knight at some stage. So one of the big options there was to marry her to the ruler of Aquitaine. We could, of course, also have her become a secondary wife of Murcha down in Munster. I'd say we will keep her in the court, and we'll see what we can see. And so, racked by guilt and stress over his past actions, Uladh suffers a mental break. He once upon a time imagined himself as the baby kidnapper extraordinaire, but that career failed miserably. So I try to be a good chaste petty king. You shouldn't be trying to be chaste. So what we're going to do is we're going to have him gain 40 stress. And we're very close to putting him over the edge and getting an extra 10% gold per month. That'd be great. Now, of course, if he suffers that increase in stress in the next 5 years, it's going to lead to another mental break. That's also going to be a bit of a problem. So I've also moved my attentions to trying to form a hook on our former ally. So this would have been our daughter's father-in-law, Muirmuan. I think she passed away. This might actually have been her husband. Nope. So her brother-in-law. So there's poor Muirmuan. There's her husband, Donica. And we're now trying to form a hook on their father, Donal, and Marcarthach, the fool. He's going to talk about all of his father's weak spots. And we have managed to form a weak hook on Donal. Somebody's saying rude things about him. Well, we'll stand up for him. Absolutely. So we're going to spend 100 piety. We're going to gain a weak hook. Before he has time to do anything else, we will demand payment for said hook. And there is 50 quid. And that's perfect timing, because I was thinking about what to build. We got the pastures built recently. Farms and fields would be a bit redundant alongside pastures. The hunting grounds would give us tax and levies. I think we'll go for a military camp. It's going to increase archer and skirmisher damage. It's going to give us 100 levies. It's a bit cheaper as well than the barracks. Heavy infantry and spearmen. Then again, that is the era that we're moving into. Do you know what? Yeah, seems though he gave us 50 gold. We will go for a barracks. And everything else to expand would have been about 225. So a bit pricey, a bit pricey. So there recently, our grandson, Cronon, has come of age. He's become one of our knights with his prowess of 8. And we can arrange a marriage for him. And I'm going to marry him off to a daughter, Eugenia, a daughter of Diarmid MacMoyle na Mo. So she has a claim to Leinster. There's going to be no actual alliance there, but it's entirely possible that we could actually push that claim in a future war. So we will send that proposal. And of course they're also telling us that our daughter Cyntegern can get married. Again, we'll go and look for somebody suitable. Her mother, our former wife, who we divorced, is married, of course, to her tutor, Temnon. I don't think there's going to be any children coming from that marriage. I was going to see if I could get these two characters to divorce and then marry Temnon to his ex-wife's daughter / former pupil. That would have been weird. A lot has happened there in the last few minutes. Cronon came of age. He got married. Shortly afterwards, his mother passed away from stress. So our son and heir, Quirkta, is unmarried. And I think I'm going to leave him unmarried. There's no great alliance material there at the moment. We've also gotten a claim to Breffni. It cost us 90 quid. I didn't realise it, but we actually had a strong hook on the King of Connacht. So I called that in for 50 gold. So really the claim to Breffni only cost us 40. Now the problem is our prestige is so low that we can declare war, but there's going to be kind of some negative penalties to it. So we're going to try and get that prestige back up to 100. That might very well mean not doing any fabricate hook schemes if they involve us losing more prestige. Who knew that prestige was useful for something? And speaking of fabricating hooks, here is our progress on an Earl in the south of Scotland. I think what we're going to do is start bringing these to an end. So this one is going to cost us opinion with our guests and courtiers. I think we're actually going to go for it. So we are going to get a week hooking him. We're going to demand payment. And we're not going to start a new one. And as schemes that we have in place at the moment run down, we're going to just let them run down. So it hasn't helped us tremendously, but we have taken a new secondary wife, Una, and we have then elevated her to our primary wife position for the diplomacy. And I have put her assisting with court politics, and Troy Goodfellow is on foreign affairs, which is helping to increase our prestige per month. So there's been a tiny increase, not really all that much. Nice. There's been a tiny increase, and if we were to declare war now at the moment, what would happen is that we would take a fame penalty. So we might as well just hold on for a while and see if we can get up to the 100 mark. And we also get to take a new lifestyle perk, and it was cutting cornerstones is what we were going to go for. And as we're finding ourselves caught for prestige, it will hit our income a slight bit, but I'm going to come across to Majesty Focus. We're going to go down the August tree. So, sway scheme power, that would be helpful to us, but we get monthly prestige per trade. Maybe not so useful at the moment, but that's also going to be moderately useful. This is pretty much the one that's going to be useful to us, is monthly prestige per night. Plus 2%. So if we can at least get those two, that would help us with our bit of a prestige problem. With war clearly approaching, we will take on 2 new knights. Or we will see if we can actually take on the 2 knights. We can indeed. So that will push out Troy and Cronon, who was never destined for the military life anyway, so it doesn't make much of a difference. He is instead a diplomat, and I don't think... No, he's not as good as Troy. So Troy will hang on in there for a while, but we could see Cronon becoming our Chancellor at some stage. So we have our knights ready and willing. And once the snow's clear, we should be close to an invasion of Breffni. Our poor daughter, who has been studying military affairs in Dehybert, has been captured in a war. I think it's a northern vassal in Cumberland is waging war. Somebody's waging war anyway for Dehybert. And I think it's actually, is it Gwynedd? Somebody's waging war for Dehybert. Cumberland have seized our daughter, so I will have to ransom her back. And yeah, we'll see who we'll assign her to. I'm not too sure if she's still going to be under the tutelage of somebody who's in the same prison. So we might find somebody else to teach her. We have an option to take a Dynasty Legacy. I think it would make more sense probably to go for Guile for the ruler that we have at the moment. But it's looking like we're going to have a lot of diplomacy rulers in future. So we could go for Law, but what I think we're going to go down is Glory. We are going to restore the glory of the Dál Fiatach. So this will give us marriage acceptance plus 30, which will be of benefit to us, especially to kind of overcome the polygamy penalty. And then at the next level we get monthly prestige and an increased number of knights. So we're going to go for a desirable match. And we can start planning our attack on Breffni now. It's not a big problem. They have found a new ally, and that ally is Munster. So they are actually going to have a good solid chunk of forces. And there we have the prestige that will allow us to come and declare war. To seize Breffni, we will raise our forces quickly. We could try and attack for Breffni straight away. And we'll march them in anyway, and we'll see if they're raising their forces, because if we can actually stop them from joining up with Munster, that would be... And there we go, there is Munster is in. We're going to take a chunk of casualties unless we can catch them. So Munster has arrived, and again we're losing men. Hand over fist, we will call in our allies if we need them, but if we could hit Munster, and I think we're going to, now it's telling us that we're in a bad position. And we are indeed, they did have an advantage over us, and they're going to be bringing in the forces from the sea. We did manage to maim Taig, so what we're going to have to do is call in our allies. I was hoping that we could do this without calling in any allies, but we have suffered a defeat in southern Connacht. In Evonia. Mo Luat, there goes 75 quid out the door, because we just hired him, and that's going to see either Troy Goodfellow or our son, our grandson, Cronon, coming into the list. So this has not started well for us. So we did indeed suffer very heavy casualties there. We are seeing 900 forces coming down from Scotland. We've discovered a secret in the new English court. So the small boy that was the king there before has abdicated. And I've moved our spy master. We've learnt a murder secret on this guy. So in the middle of a war, we can blackmail him. It's a 67% chance that he will accept, so we'll see what he does. And we can demand payment. 70 quid. Nice. So we'll regain a few numbers. We might even begin marching them in the direction of Dunanaul, and we can just bring them straight across and into to Breffni as is needed. So a bit of a problem, and that is that Munster has actually started moving. I don't think they're going to hit us. We just managed to get out of there in time. So Munster and Connacht are coming for us. They've hit our army before our allies could get in. They're going to come in far too late now to do anything. So this is turning into a disaster. This is turning into a rout. We did actually manage to kill some of their allies. 2 of our allies have been killed. So this is turning into a bit of a disaster. They have pulled back into Breffni. We'll see if we can replenish our forces and if Atall will come back and help us at all. Our agents have made progress on one of the only remaining scheme that we actually have in place at the moment. We have lost an unmerciful amount of money on combatants, so it's just started off really bad for us. And if we come and look for mercenaries, we're just out of luck. We're just out of reach of getting our hands on any mercenaries. I don't think we'll be able to hire them. If we go into debt, I don't think we're going to mind too much. We are indeed in debt. Our marshal has been killed. So we could appoint Temnon. Mayor Cahill is back in charge. And we're going to have to try and restructure the army somewhat. So our son Dúnadach has come of age. Our wife has become pregnant. That's one way of getting rid of the stress, I imagine. The fact that those guys have to retreat all the ways to Atall is heartbreaking. We're trying to see if we can get any reinforcements or get any numbers up. They're turning around and coming back. So yeah, once we get everyone grouped together, it will be one big push in against... It's Munster that's doing all the damage. In the midst of the battle, Mordecai has died. He has been replaced by his son. Do we want to go in against the main army? They are pulling back from there, so what we might do is seize Breffni. Actually start increasing the war score some bit. So see, immediately changing tack. It's going to be an equal battle in Athlone. We have a slight numerical advantage once all of our forces get in. There's a war going on in Norway, or I should say Scotland is involved in a war against Norway. We have more forces coming up from Munster. So our son managed to wound somebody. If we could actually go in and hit that army, deliver a bit more of a penalty to them. We have a son, which is going to actually complicate matters a small bit in terms of succession. Ealdavor. Let's see what else we have. Cu Anu. May you grow to be strong and wise. I don't think we're going to manage to hit that army. Unless it does something ever so slightly foolish. Yeah. I don't want to lose those 100 troops. Well, I suppose it was only a matter of time. Somebody is plotting to kill me. I think there is a very long list of people who would be plotting to kill me at this stage. A lot of ex-wives who are not very happy. We absolutely have to stop the villain behind this. If we look at the intrigue, it's 5% success chance, 20% secrecy. I have my spy master pulled back already, disrupting schemes. It's at times like this I wish I had a wife with a higher spy mastery. Oh, if only we'd kept you there. I can't bring you back now, can I? No, she's not going to be happy because, of course, she is... she's Christian. She's Catholic, so she doesn't like the fact that we are carrying on. I'd be suspicious of her. I'd be suspicious. She's also a non-believer. I was thinking of maybe trying to banish her or something. We might come back to that later on. Has that actually impacted things in any way, make, shape, or form? Doesn't look like it. So Tig has begun to siege down Patrick. One of our courtiers has had children, so this is Cronon. He's look at the big moustache he's after getting himself, now that he's unfortunately fighting in the army. So he has had twins, Muirin and Shocknasuk. May he grow to be strong and wise. So that is great-grandchildren. And we've social manipulation. This fool, our new marshal, he's being a divil. Now, of course, if we were to comment on his graceful feat, we would gain 20 stress. We spend 150. If we gain 20 stress, it's going to push us up, and it's going to increase the amount of money that we make. How dare you challenge your High King? Ignore that. Ignore that. That's the one we need to look at. Mental break, haunted by the past. A stiff drink will take us back down below that limit. Or we could just try and stick it out. If he's dying, if he can survive 3 more months, we'll no longer be bankrupt. And in the midst of it all, are they actually going to do something useful for once? It's Iceland. Again. We've seized Breffni. We just have about enough soldiers. We're going to be attacked in Alloch. Our daughter's educator has actually died. I forgot to switch him over to somebody else. We will send her to Rectra. As if they don't have enough to focus on at the moment. If we can get in and hit these guys. They are pulling out, which is a good thing. We might actually hit some of the stragglers. So one of our knights was slain. That would be one of the mercenaries. There's Rekbra, speak of the devil. And he will badly wound somebody. We've at the very least turned the battle in our favour, which is good. I think we're going to have to march quickly on Mayo. Our kinsman, Dunsleva, has been killed. I'm trying to think. Dunsleva wasn't... No. Dunsleva is somebody that we haven't seen a ton of, but there is a member of the family has died. I think the... I'm not entirely too sure what's after happening there. Our attempts to gain to fabricate a hook on Moel Shockloin have failed. So I think that brings to the end our very last attempt to take money from somebody. Oh, there's a ton of things happening. Moel Vera, who is our son-in-law, I believe, is trying to teach himself Irish. Absolutely, he can become our friend. So this guy is fighting for us at the moment, so absolutely he's going to become our friend. This is the only reason that the war is still continuing. Our daughter Orla has come of age. She is also not exactly a Midas-touched figure like her sister, but fairly strong stewardship. I'm wondering what in the hells is going on over here. I think Atoll were coming in very late, and they actually had to spin around to avoid being caught by the guys sieging this region. We're gonna have to make a bit of a risk. We'll station besiegers. Can we take the larger army up? Because if these guys siege quickly and they come in, then we could be in trouble. If Iceland sieges quickly. So it's utter anarchy here at the moment. They're not. They're going in the opposite direction. We're not... I don't know how we've managed to lose so many forces there. This entire conflict looks to have been a disaster. This entire conflict looks like it is going to end in a white peace. So we're going to have to lift the siege of Mayo. We are pulling back to Ulster. We have married one of our daughters, Cyntegern. I would much rather have kept her in the court to have married her off to a high stewardship figure. Instead, we have married her off to somebody that we extorted money from, the Duchess of Moray, who we should be in a position immediately to call to war. So we're going to try and regroup back in Ulster. And she's bringing in 1,400 troops. Connacht has gone in against an odd coalition. I don't know what's going on here. More troops have come in from Atholl, from what I can understand. So this was a rather convoluted battle where we went in against some Vikings. I know one of our forces were routed and were defeated there. An attempt has actually been made on our life by Ead of Breffni. I suppose that would make some sense, as I attend some local celebrations in Breffni. I spend the evening drunk on merriment and wine. As I wake in the morning, it is to find myself in a damp cellar with a huge hangover and a newly built wall almost covering the exit. Someone meant to bury me here. Ead, you devil. So I will make him regret this. We lose 100 opinion of him. Too right, we lose 100 opinion of him. We managed just in time to bring in those forces to help with our allies. Iceland is still wandering around the place. And in the midst of it all, Uladh has given up the ghost. Fair play to him. He got us out of debt. He has died at 67 years of age, drank himself to death. He never even got out of that cellar. He just stayed there. He knocked down the wall that was in front of him. He staggered out and he just saw a wall of booze. And he just started into it, drinking like a lunatic. Uladh of Ulster has left this world at 67 years of age, drank himself to death, an old man. He lived a long, fulfilling life, really. And now his son, Quirta, ascends to the throne, a bull-headed man. His subjects may have a hard time getting a word in after he makes up his mind. We will continue on as Quirta. I'm going to leave it there for this episode. In the midst of this chaos, we have managed to break the back of Connacht's army. This is the second major war leader that has died in this war. Murcha died. And now Uladh, the man who restored Ulster, who restored the Uladh and the Dál Fiatach to their command over Ulster, has given up the ghost at 67 years of age. I'm hoping that those alliances will remain. Alliances through our sisters, if I am correct. I don't think we'll have lost too much land. Or we'll have lost everything. We've lost everything. So Dúnadach has become the king of Argyll. And Cúnú, who's like, what, a couple of weeks? He's a year old. He has become the king of Alach. And if we can seize Breffni and continue pushing down, we will start to build a kingdom for Quirta. What anarchy, what chaos, and in the middle of it all, Iceland just moving around and being awkward devils. That was a bit of excitement. Thank you all very much for joining me on this one, and I hope you will join me on the next one, as we see what exactly are the ramifications of Uladh's death, and when we see if Quirta can live up to his father's achievements. We also need to figure out how to make money now.